done or what you already know. We are going to tell you that we've been doing lots of research for you, reading so that we can share and kind of keep those things to the front of your mind. And most of the time it's like, yeah, I know that, I've read that, I remember that. But really it's just saying, am I using that consistently, or how can I tweak the things that I already know or best practice? And hopefully when you leave today, you will leave with something you can take right back to your room to use, and just learn how to do it when you're back. So, with that being said, we're going to try to do that through these things. We're going to start this morning by going back to your ideas with the papers that you brought. We're going to paddle start, we're going to move on and talk about the traits of organization. Then we're going to say, okay, well, we've got all these traits and we're looking for all these things in these papers, so then how do we talk to the kids about these things? And discuss concepts a little bit more as well. And then we'll give you some time at the end of the day to plan for our next mode and your next indicator as well. All right, so there's some papers in front of you. We're going to kind of go through those together, but if you would just grab one of them and use the back. Now, so that when you see the word ideas, from what we've talked about and what you know, just take a moment quietly and jot down what comes to your mind.
Why we use a sentence stem is that we want our students talking in complete sentences, and that's especially important for our ELL students, our struggling students, and that they're using the vocab that we want them to use, which is ideas, so that they reinforced over and over. So instead of just saying the list, let's go back to what we're really focusing on is ideas. When I thought about ideas, and that's going to be a scaffold for our ELL and our struggling, and this is a good practice for all students.
So we did our names, we did our pairs, so now let's share. And within your group, we're just going to have one person share out an idea that you mentioned. It could be yours or someone else in the group that mentioned it. So let's talk about ideas. And can you guys start right here?
Writing is all about talking and getting in processing. So we need to keep that in mind when we're doing a lot of talking.
That's good. Quite a lot. Awesome. I know. Here are just some of the things that we had mentioned last time in the session. And I think we're going to find them all right. Just that there's that clear message. You have to have enough to talk about it. It's going to be your topic. It's kind of even sometimes unique. Like it's very detailed to you because it happens in your life. There's a purpose. And you make the readers honest. All right, so with those things being said, we're going to say we're qualifying by knowing exactly what we need for our ideas. Then we're going to say then we have to have a way to hold students accountable for whether they were proficient with their ideas or not. So in front of you, you will find a little strip that looks like this that says ideas. I think it was your paper right on top until I said items of paper. It's white and it will have an example personal narrative on it from the state. So what we're going to do is break our rubric up into sections so we can really just focus on one thing at a time. And today is first we're going to look at that idea part of it. So this is not new to us as fourth grade teachers. You probably have this memorized, and hopefully it's in front of your students already, and they are starting to memorize what it is that's going to show their proficiency. But be patient with us, and let's just quickly review how we think about this rubric together. So we've got our middle line, and then say it with me. So I'm on this side, I am weaker than strong. If I'm over here, I'm stronger than weak. And then within that, we pull out those words that would clarify or show us what's the difference between proficient and beyond would be. So as we know, the 3 is our proficient mark. So please take a few seconds and just underline the words that stand out to you to make a reader a proficient reader or writer, in ideas.
and you need to have the ideas. If you have the ideas, yes.
The idea is way heavier. 35%. So that was
Right.
Yeah. All right. So what makes those ideas affordable? What were some things you mentioned?
So they had more details than the 3. Would you agree?
Yes.
It was expanded. Numerous details. Were they all relevant? It was well focused. Was it throughout the whole thing?
Some of this is hard to tease out though, because when they talk about storyline in here, storyline is logical and easy to follow. Then we're getting into organization.
Yes.
So it's really hard to tease out that ideas and organization piece. They really are almost one thing.
It's the foundation. They go together. You're right in that aspect, because it does say that it's logical. Right. So we do have to keep that in mind too.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. So we have thought about what makes our writers proficient, what we shoot for, and what gets them a little bit above. Monday, some of you have spent time reading some of these papers. And here's some times where it's even trickier to say right in here. Because sometimes you feel like, oh, they're almost there. And it's hard to decide that too, as well. So let's just kind of go there next. If we know that, the overall sense is that they're stronger than weak, and we do know though that we have to think about the weaker than strong. So what is it that a paper would not have that was holding it back from being proficient? So
In
kind of-
ideas.
In ideas. So just kind of look at some of that language here now. Supposed to grade something like it. What kind of do you think? It's not there. It's the one. It seems like that kind of category is a little bit easier to certify. Or just usually right off the bat. So keeping this rubric in mind and kind of keeping or thinking about what we're looking for each of these things, we're going to go to your papers and talk about what this looks like next for your writers and your students. So if you could pull out the papers that you brought today now. So this is probably going to be pretty easy for you because your papers have already been scored. But for the purposes of what we want to look at and really think about today, just take a few seconds because I'm pretty sure that's what it's going to take for you to sort your papers into 2 piles. Stronger than weak and weaker than strong. Just for your idea. Yeah. Deanna just asked the question, if my student had a 5 in ideas, is that stronger than weak or weaker than strong? And then Devin just kind of looked it up with the state and made sure we're double checking everything, and that would be proficient. So a 3 and a 2 together would make a 5, which would be proficient.
Keep that in mind.
So when you look at your papers, when we're saying today, split it, stronger than weak or weaker than strong, maybe take a second look right now and say, okay, I sorted one time what the state would have said for these papers. Would there be any papers I would have to move back? Because as a district, we're shooting for 3s and 3s. Would there be any papers that we are saying we would still really want to bump the score up on? So for our purposes today, you might want to move those back. I wanted you to see, okay, here's where they would have landed, but now move those papers back to saying, what are we shooting for together as a district? Are there any of you might have to flip back to weaker than strong? Okay, so if Stronger Than Me. Select your paper from the Stronger Than Me, and if you have your special education teachers or someone that can come with your paper, can you please share so that everybody has their paper, Stronger Than Me. And let's get a sense of our writers in our minds by having papers, which is our papers. Okay, so everybody have a paper in front of them? Okay. So with that paper, we need to kind of get a sense of who our writers are and what they're looking like. And then the thing that is not super clear all the time about this is that they're given a mark by the readers, and then they're marked, with a suggestion on what they could do to improve. But let's justify why that person was marked the way they were. So would you have given that same writer the same mark, and why? On ideas. Yep, we're just sticking kind of with ideas for now. Yes, thank you for clarifying. Would you give them the same score? Yeah, we're starting stronger. Stronger than me. Yep. How are you feeling about the papers that you're looking at compared to their scores? Do you feel like, yes, you can justify, you understand, they're kind of on? Okay. Let's repeat the process then, going weaker than strong. So choose or give the papers back. Yesterday they were like, we're going to lose our paper. Please give them back. Everybody was really Stronger Than Me paper. And pass out a weaker than strong. Alright, so you've kind of got a sense now of the day that our scores spent on Monday, reading these papers over and over. So we just want to kind of publicly say, those of you, by the end of the day, and we've all been through it probably, or if you haven't, you will be, you're ready to try by the end of the day, and everything starts looking the same. And so thank you for spending the whole day. Really, it was a great group that was really on target, on focus. We got a lot accomplished. At the end of the day, that group processed a little bit about his sense of all the papers that they read throughout the day.
It was Christmas when I was 3. They don't remember. Somebody told them. And so it's just very vague. There were a ton of Christmas papers. Just a ton of them. Yeah. The other thing about details was they would add details, but the rubric says relevant details. And so there'd be details about the green grass when the story was not about the green grass. So it's not that that detracts, but we want them to spend their energy on what's the meat of the story and how can they add those details and those sensory words to that chunk.
All right, so with that being said, we've got a visual here of all these ideas that we've been working on, that your kids are working on, and they're everywhere. And we're going to move today into talking about organizing those ideas and how that can feel a little bit like this.
And we know that they have those ideas down, and the kids have lots of ideas, and sometimes it's almost like they're in that dreamlike mode where they're just coming out from everywhere. And research will tell us that the planning stage, planning and revision, is the most difficult stage for students. So this is where they're going to need the most scaffolding. This is where they're going to need the most help. The organization, and there's a lot of scaffolding that we can do. We're going to talk about that here in just a moment. So in ideas and organization, they fit so well together. That's why it was so difficult when we were assessing just for ideas that we kept pulling in that organizational part because, is it logical? I mean, these two traits are the foundation. So they do, in a way, go together. So organization is, you have a pink sheet, and we're going to do, just like we did last time we were together with the ideas, where you're going to take some silent time and do this and underline words that stand out to you. So take about a minute, read through it, underline words. We're going to go around again, and in pairs, just throw out a word that stuck out to you, and that stood out to you, and Shannon's going to write it up there. Let's start back there with Beth's group. Is the internal structure of the piece. You told us that. It's that internal structure of the piece. It's the thread of central meaning. It all goes together. We have a pattern of logic, as you said. And this is what I really want to focus on. This is something that Anita Archer, she uses a lot of mnemonic devices, and one is TAP, and maybe you're familiar with this. topic, audience, and purpose. And I would like every student to always, no matter what he or she is writing, there is always going to be a topic, there's always going to be an audience, and there's always going to be a purpose. If they can keep that in mind, that's going to help so much in the structure and the organization of their writing. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. So the topic, when they choose a topic, this is the idea. This is linking the idea over into the organization. The topic is their idea. What they have to consider is their own knowledge about it. And I think, Randy, you mentioned, if it's a story about their birthday when they're 3 and they're just getting it from secondhand, what their mom said about their birthday, is that really a good topic? So they have to consider their own knowledge about it, their interest in it, their feelings for it, their thoughts on the topic, as they decide to write about it. So some things may just be too difficult. They're not going to be able, and I know we do research and that's big in point, but are they going to be able to do it? They have to consider all those things when it comes to ideas. And then the audience. By 4th grade, you should be thinking about the audience, always. How much does the audience know? And who did we have? 3rd grade yesterday? Someone wrote about a video game. I don't know, Mark. We had the audience, as we read it, we had no idea what was going on. We didn't have enough background knowledge. So how much does your audience know about your topic? How interested will they be? And you were not interested in that. What kind of vocabulary should you use? And this is going to get important when we're talking about instruct and inform. That vocabulary, you're starting to use that content vocabulary. And that's going to be very important for our ELL students also, that that vocabulary, if they're using the correct vocabulary. If you're doing an instructional piece and you're doing the process of division, that they're using the correct words, the correct math vocabulary. So are there terms that need to be defined, thinking of your audience? If I'm talking to kindergartners, yes, there's going to be words that I need to define. And how much background must you info must you give? Sometimes there needs to be a lot. I have no idea about video games. I need background information on that if I have to read about it. And then purpose, this is where we're going into organization. When you know your purpose, you know how you're going to organize. That's what we're teaching our students, is to internalize that. So the purpose, it can be to explain, to entertain, whatever. But when they have the purpose, now we're going into the organization. We're going to know how to organize. So I have some, this is our connection. Knowing the purpose allows the writer to know how to organize his or her ideas. So just my suggestion, whenever they go to write anything, tap on the top of their page. They're always focused on that. What's my purpose for writing this? Is it to entertain, to inform, to instruct? Why am I doing this? So you know what graphic organizers are. You use them a lot, just to bring it back forward. And if I pause, please say the word that I'm pausing at. Make the unseen aspects of writing process, genre-specific text structure, visible to students. We want to make the abstract concrete. We want to make it visible for students. And this is so critical, not only for all students, but especially for our strugglers, for our ELL. We need to make it visible to students. There are tools that help students. There are tools that help students
plan
and
execute.
Writing through a series of prompts with the purpose of reminding students of the thinking strategies and dialogue that good writers use. Okay, I think that's kind of you know that about graphic organizers. So here's some recommendations for graphic organizers. Pick a few. Okay. And when we say few, not for each mode, you might want to start out with only having one. And you may individualize that for the student, but that student needs to internalize the one that they're using that works for them. You select based on and promote student independence by the use of the graphic organizer. This is so important. When I write, I'm not using graphic organizers. They're up here. That's where we need to get them for students, is when they write, they get that prompt, or they're writing for whatever reason. If it's to inform, boom, right in their head, they are visualizing how they're gonna organize that. That has to be internalized. That means they need to have multiple opportunities to write in the different modes. Multiple over and over and over, so it's internalized. We need to fade that away. So when they go to write, it's not just about the district writing, it's about writing in general. But when they go to write the district writing, you can't hand them the graphic organizer, but then it needs to be internalized. So the idea might be writing. So I have my idea of writing. So who am I writing this for? Okay, I'm writing it for my peers and my teacher. So what's my purpose? Now this is where we're getting into organization. My purpose is to tell the story of running into a spider web. So that's going to give you the story structure where I have events happening. That's where we're going to go into the narrate organizers. That's where you're going to pull those organizers to help scaffold for those students. And what we did for you is we went through, I know the Hoyt folders, all those things that are in the CIA, it's kind of overwhelming, you're digging, you can't find what you need. So we went through and put all the narrate organizers in one place and we put it on your curriculum map. So there are folders for each mode in your curriculum map. So if you're in the narrate, you can pull it up and see what best meets your students' needs. So if I click on this, I'll show you what comes up. So I'm going to go, you can see all the different modes. I'm just going to go into narrate right now. And you're going to see what is going to work for you. So you want to look at all these, and you're going to want to look at your individual students because there's no one size fits all. So maybe you pick the sequencing, you think this is going to be the best for some of your students where you have the event 1, event 2, event 3, and then over here, temporal words to consider. Now, for those struggling writers, your ELL, those you can do more scaffolding. You can put that in there. You can have sentence stems that start for them. So you can individualize these. Whatever you need to do for that student, as long as it eventually gets faded away. But this is going to be key, that they have that same one that they go back to, that they have multiple opportunities to use. This isn't a one and done, they use it once and then we expect them to remember it. That they have multiple opportunities. Not everything has to go through the entire process. Not everything, they can have multiple drafts that they started that they just got this far with. That's it. But they had to practice using it. And you can scaffold it as much as you need to. So maybe my idea is talk everlasting, the audience is the teachers in class, and I'm going to respond to the novel through a character analysis. That's going to look different than a narrate. So we have the response organizers that you would go to, and then you think about what I'm doing and what's going to work best for my students. Spiders. Now my audience is second graders, so I'm thinking about my audience and what they know, and my purpose is to inform them about the different characteristics of spiders. So then again, I'm going to go into the informed graphic organizers and find the best match for my students. And then scaffold as I need to. Playground equipment is my idea. Community club is my audience to persuade the CC that students need more playground equipment at recess. And then again, persuade organizers. And my last one, snowflakes, kindergartners. And my purpose, explain the procedure for making paper snowflakes. So then you go into those procedural organizers.
Yeah, but just as someone who looks across lots of curriculum maps, I think the strength of us going and using, because there are graphic organizers everywhere, just Google and you, but when we use the ones that are associated with Hoyt, the third grade is a little more complex than the second grade, but they have visual similarities that support that in the head thinking of kids, like they have a picture of, okay, if I'm going to write in form, I'm going to have an illustration and a step 1, and an illustration and a step 2. And I think that's so important because when we say, I found a cute organizer that's great for this, well, the next year's teacher might have an organizer that looks very visually different. And if we think about we're building a structure in that kid's head where they automatically think in that way. So I think it's really helpful to have those so easy to get to, because I looked at them all this morning and I'm like, ooh, nice. It's nice for somebody who works with lots of grade levels, but you can see how it builds and how our kids are going to be able to maintain that stable image that will support them when they do on-demand writing like state tests.
And thanks for saying that, because that reminds me, I did put from K to 6. So, I mean, wherever your student is, you may need to have more scaffolding, less scaffolding. So I just put all the graphic organizers that we provided for each mode. So, going to why students struggle with organizing their writing. One is the rigid organization is often overvalued, and we're talking about the 5-paragraph essay. Always expecting that. The research over and over and over is showing us that that is detrimental to students in the long run. So it just doesn't work. We have colleges and high schools saying, please don't do it. The writing is not where it should be when we use 5-paragraph essays. That doesn't mean you're not using organization. It's still logical. It still follows all those things. It just doesn't have to be fit into this 5-paragraph essay, and that doesn't work. It is hard. Organization is hard. That's why we're spending so much time on that. Planning and revising, the 2 hardest parts of writing. It's hard. That's why teachers need to, I do it, we 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 do it, you do it, I do it again, we do it, we do it, we do it. We have to model and show your thinking process on that and let students talk. And then the one-size-fits-all program doesn't exist, and it never will, and that's why your professionals, if there was one, then we would have other people here that we would go off the street and do it. So you are using your professional judgment. You're looking at those graphic organizers, your scaffolding as you need to, and so forth.
Switch roles or put you into teacher mode. So we're going to ask that you kind of switch roles into class mode as students. And then I'm going to interrupt her every once in a while, and we'll talk teacher over here, but we need you to be class over here. So before we start, just if you have the tips, TIPS, the yellow sheet out and in front of you. Okay, I'm going into teacher mode.
Thank you.
So class, I've noticed that in our writing that we are getting our ideas down, but we're not getting our paragraph. So today we're going to do a strategy called tips to help us paragraph and narrative paper, our narrative essays, our personal narratives. So tips is how to start a new paragraph. And you have that yellow sheet in front of you, so I'd like you to look at it. And when I pause, I want you to say the word that I'm leaving out. So when to start a new paragraph? When you skip to a new time. When you describe a new incident or start a new topic. When you skip to a new place. Okay, when a new person begins to speak. All right. So T stands for what, everyone? Time. I stands for what, everyone? Incident. P stands for what, everyone? Place. And S stands for what, everyone? Speak. Okay, you know I've been writing my personal narrative about a time that I went running and ran into the spider. And as I was looking at mine, I noticed that, I don't have paragraphing, and we know paragraphing is important for the organization. We've looked at the rubric and we know what is expected for organization to be proficient. So I'm going to model how I'm going to do that with my paper. Teacher talk.
What have we watched Deb do so far? What is she establishing so far? We got a purpose. Common language, absolutely. And she's engaging every person to be on topic. So by now, already you should have established that every person in the room knows what TIPS stands for, right? So we're checking. And now she's moving into I do. So I'm going to have you do that I do, and then we'll talk about that. Okay. So class, I have my paper, but I've also given you a copy because my expectation is that you're following along. And as I'm reading the words, you're looking at the words. So I know I have time, incident, place,
speaker. I gotta keep that in my head as I go through this and decide where I need to put my paragraphs. Oh, and before I read it and start to do that, one thing that we always do, that you all know, before I start a new strategy or skill, we always reread. What is it that we always do, class? Reread. So I'm going to reread my personal narrative before I start my strategy. The morning started out like every other morning. I put on my athletic shoes while my dog, Chaz, was nipping at my nose and whining with excitement. I fastened my dog's leash and we headed out the front door. The cool, crisp air hit my face as I started my jog down the sidewalk. About a mile into the jog, Chaz and I turned a corner and began running up a hill that was lined by pine trees. It was a beautiful view. The orange sun started to wake up and peek over the horizon. My dog was trotting next to me, showing off to the people walking on the other side of the street. I could tell he was proud of himself. "Look at me run," his dog face seemed to say. This is the life. What a perfect morning run. Then it happened. The perfect morning was about to be spoiled. "Ah!" I screamed as a sticky, stringy web enwrapped me. I never saw it coming. A spider web. Gross! My arms immediately went to my face to try to pull off the spider web as it clung to my face. It was impossible. I was drawing attention to myself by screaming and flailing. My dog was unfazed. He kept trotting next to me with that dumb dog look on his face. I was finally able to recover from when I looked down and saw a huge, nasty brown spider staring back at me. Get off, I screamed as I flung him off my shirt. I tried to get my composure back. My face burned red as I realized the people across the street had witnessed the entire episode. My heart was pounding, not from the run, but from the exertion and adrenaline of running into the spider web. I felt exhausted. I finished my run, thinking about the hot shower I would take as soon as I returned home. I learned a valuable lesson during that run. Be careful not to run too close to pine trees while running. Spiders wait patiently for their prey. Morning runners. Okay, teacher talk. Were there errors? Yes. Okay, that was on purpose. I make errors, but I will say, this lady stopped me. She stopped me because I'm like, I wanted to correct all my errors before I did this. But our kids' paper is going to be error-free before they do a skill. What is it that we're focusing on, everyone? Organization and paragraphing, correct? Okay. So is this the time to get bogged down with all the other things? No, I am just going to focus on paragraphing. So as I read, and as you read students' papers, and if you're focusing on a certain thing, such as paragraphing, try not to get distracted by that. Stay focused on that one thing. So we're staying focused on paragraphing. Okay, back in the teacher mode. Okay, so now I'm going to go back and find places where I can make paragraphs. So let's see, TIPS, time, incident, place, speaker. The morning started out like every other morning. I put on my athletic shoes while my dog, Chaz, was nipping at my nose and whining with excitement. Okay, we're still fine. I think I don't need a paragraph yet. I fastened my dog's leash and we headed out the front door. So, let's see, I'm leaving the front door. Oh, I'm going to a new place. So class, I'm going to I think this would be a good place for a paragraph, because with tips, place is one of the times when we add a new paragraph. So we're going to a new place. I'm going outside from inside. So I'm going to do the editing symbol for paragraph that we have worked with before, the backwards P with the line. And I would like you all to make that with me right here. So on your paper, you're doing what I'm doing. This is our editing symbol for paragraph. And I'm going to put a line, so I want to remind myself, since this is a new skill, that I'm making a new paragraph because I am going to a new place. The cool, crisp air hit my face as I started my jog down the sidewalk. About a mile into the jog. Okay, so that means time has elapsed. Time, incident, place, time has elapsed. I think I'm going to put a paragraph here because Tips tells me when time has elapsed that I would do a new paragraph. Now, looking at this class, this bothers me a little bit because there's only one sentence, and I'm going to have to fix that later. That's not what I'm focusing on right now, so I'm going to just keep going, and that's something that I can revise later.
All right, then I am going to stop you now for some teacher talk. So she's in what mode of our gradual release? Where are we in? I do it, right? Modeling, I do it. She's modeling by showing you, writing right in front of you, but there's also what happening?
Think aloud.
The actual think aloud. And it looks funny to kind of watch you do that because she's
Shannon.
well, and it feels awkward when you're the one doing it, right? You know, because she's sitting there trying to take all the thoughts that we want kids to be processing in their brains and doing those actual thoughts out loud in front of them. You know, so she's redoing Tips intentionally, and then she's processing how she's making her decision out loud for kids to hear. Is she asking for anything from you? No. Has she asked you a question? Did she ask you to tell what you think would be the answer to why she paragraphed there as her student? No. So there is a clear point here where it is just I do in the I do stage. She's doing it. She's doing it all for you. Is she asking you to actively participate though? Yes. She's asking you to write something down. She's asking you to show that you're following along. You have to read along with her. So you're thinking while she's demonstrating her thinking as well. So now where's she going to go next? What can we predict as teachers? She's doing I do. She showed you 2 examples. She's talking out loud. Probably what will we see next from her? Yeah, we're going to see a little, we're going to hopefully watch her move from I do straight into the we are going to do it together thing. So we're going to watch that gradual release start to happen.
And so I'm going to go a little bit more with saying in the teacher talk here, a little bit more with I do. This is a difficult thing. And so you said we go from I do to we do, but as we know, it might be I do, and then we do. I mean, it depends on our students, right?
And so for
today, I do, we do, it'll be you do. Okay, so I put a paragraph here because time has elapsed. So about a mile into the jog, Chaz and I turned a corner and began running up the hill that was lined by pine trees. It was beautiful. The orange sun started to wake up and peek over the horizon. My dog was trotting next to me, showing off to the people walking on the other side of the street. I could tell he was proud of himself. Wait a minute. Okay, so I see quotation marks. Wait a minute. Tips, time, incident, place, speaker. But my dog, okay, so my dog can't talk, but I'm showing what he's thinking with quotation marks. So that would mean there's a change in speaker. Oh, I know I always have to do a new paragraph when I have a new speaker. So I'm going to put a paragraph here. So class, put a paragraph there, because when we have quotation marks and a new speaker, we know we need to have a new paragraph. So I'm going to have my paragraph symbol there, and I'm going to say speaker. That is our S from Tips. So look at me run, his dog face seemed to say. This is a life. What a perfect morning run. Then it happened. Okay, wait a minute. Sounds like there's a shift. Time didn't. Incident. I think there's a new incident. Then it happened. Something happened. So this is going to be incident. And I'm thinking, where am I going to put that? Before the then or after? I'm thinking I want this to be my transition. I think, whoops, then it happened. I think my paragraph's going to go right here. Then it happened. Now the new incidents. So I'm going to put my paragraph symbol there, just like you are, doing the same thing on your paper. Thank you. And then I'm going to put over here incident, because incident is the I in tips. And I have a new incident. So far, I have about 4 paragraphs, and they're divided by place, time, speaker, and incident. Now, class, I want you to think about tips, and with your partner, continue and finish this, deciding where you would do the new paragraph. But before you get started, let's remember, T stands for what? Everyone? I? P?
Place.
S? Speaker. Okay, so with your partner, I want you to finish my personal narrative. I think as I'm reflecting back on this, and Shannon and I were talking a little bit, this is a difficult task. And as I'm going around and seeing different paragraphing, so I'm going to address that. But one thing that I could have done, if I would have sensed that this was going to be difficult, was together up here asked you as a group. Okay, so let's do the next one together before you went and did it with each other. So that would have been an option for a scaffolding if I felt that this was going to be too difficult. Another thing that I want to mention is going around, there's different paragraphing. That's okay. You're practicing and you have justification for what you've done. Some of you saw temporal words and you said, well, that paragraph was great. Some of you felt it was still part of what was being said, so you didn't do a new paragraph. Beth over here had a great explanation why she did the paragraphing that she did, but it was different than what other people did. So it was fine. It was great. This would be one of those things that isn't a one and done. I mean, you know that this is difficult and is something that they need to practice over and over. So the next step would be maybe doing it again. Some more we do, some more we do, some more we do. And then to go back to their drafts. They should have multiple drafts. Go back to their drafts and have them practice with their drafts and get that independence piece going. And then again, the scaffolding. Maybe they're not quite ready for tips. Maybe they're only going to do a paragraph when there's a new incident. Maybe that's where you need to start. Maybe it's a new place. So maybe the TIPS altogether is too much. So there's different ways that we can scaffold this. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so when we're thinking about Deb's lesson, and she's demonstrating through your strategies how to get into that paragraphing, because we know at the end, we always have our mark in mind, where we start a mode, we know at the top, and there's an organization. There's organization rubric on the bottom. By the way, it is a thin point. That's a great. Sorry.
All right, so
we don't, I mean, you're always gonna be adding to your own tool belt, so just keep that in mind too. Sorry.
And for a student, how cool is it? My teacher's thinking about me for a whole night. Yeah, that's right. Woo. All right. So once we've made our decision on what it is we want to share with them, then we get to teach it. And we can work together with the student to collaboratively set the goal. Say, here's what I noticed they said. Like, let's talk more about that. And you know what it is that you're establishing within it you want them to do. You can focus your lesson then, and then you can directly instruct them. And this says show and tell. And this is the biggest, I'm going to call it an aha. As we've been playing with this and we've been reading and researching kind of just to say this, is that one of the biggest things that they were saying in the research is to keep your hands off their papers. And it's tricky because you want to grab and say, look right here, let's capital, capital, capital. And I don't know if you remember, I'll just say, I was the writer in school when my paper was red. And it came back to me and I was like, oh, I'm not very good at this. Let's not do that to the kids. And the way that you avoid doing that is that you carry around a little notebook yourself or a dry erase board and you show them in your own writing, in your own handwriting, on your own paper, what it is you're talking about. So if I've decided that my student has a lot of dialogue in their story, but no quotation marks, no any punctuation to show that it's dialogue immediately to the reader, then I can put some dialogue over here and show you what to do. Or I can pull some of our mentor texts that we've been working on that are very familiar to both of us because we've read them lately. I can show you what authors do or how they do it versus doing it for you. Another huge advantage to this is if I never touch their paper, I can truly assess that paper because it was their work. Everything that was on that work was them taking this direct instruction and showing me they can do it, showing me they can apply it. So that it means that everything they pass into me is truly theirs as well. All right, so I have researched, I've listened, I've made my decision, I teach, and then my last step, which is the huge step, is to record our conversations together. This keeps me accountable for what I'm teaching. I mean, by the time I've met with 8 students a day, it gets kind of jumbled what I said to who and who I said it with, first of all, and it helps me track that I'm going through a meeting with every one of my students. It also holds the kids accountable because you can say to them, hey, look right here. Last time when we met, we talked about writing dialogue together. You're writing another piece and I still don't see quotation marks in your work. I would like to see that in that. And then hold them accountable for what you're talking about. And one thing that I really found to be powerful about this part when I'm conferencing with students is that those anecdotal notes are very transparent. Usually I just write my own notes to myself and I kind of, and the kids are, they never really know what I'm writing down about them. But for these writing conferences, at the end of the conference, I will say to them, tell me in your own words what you heard your goal was today. What did we talk about? Because I'm going to write that down and we're going to key notes together about what you're learning and working on. And so the notes are very open and in front for both of us to use. And with that, those notes then can help me make my assessment decisions. I can use my anecdotal notes because I'm gathering a body of evidence of what the student is showing me that they can do as well. All right, so we're talking about some of our experiences already. Deb and I have been, and we're going to set this up carefully, we've been plucking students out of classes. And typically when you get to a classroom and you say, hey, can I do some conferences with some of your students? Let's just tell you, think, who would you give to us to conference with? So we've got kind of some challenging conferences that we are attempting to plucking out, but they're kind of fun. And on both ends, we've got readers that Deb sat down with and looked her in the eye and said, I hate writing. And had a blend in there. Yeah. And we also have writers that I sat down with one and I realized he was writing that like, I don't know what to say to you because your vocabulary is surpassing my own. And your writing is awesome. So I have to give and offer you something that phases and how they're happening. These conferences are ranging from 2 minutes to about 7 minutes, which is what research is saying you're shooting for conferences. And then when you're done, we're just going to come back and kind of share some of the things you noticed as a group.
So I do, it improves group, I mean, just so we
Yes.
all pull up.
Yeah,
Because we have a
yesterday.
big group here.
Yes, we have a really big group. Maybe groups of 4. Yeah, it was just a little slow yesterday when everybody tried to get on it. You just kind of want to buddy up and watch a few videos as well. So you will need your computer now, and you'll want to get to the CIA, language arts, and then right over here. We can move around. There's a room in here. I don't think by the time you get to them, then it's like they're prepared. Oh, it's my turn. Here's what I'm going to say to you, and I think it'll become easier and easier for sure. What else did you notice?
One thing I noticed, as reflecting back, when they started to talk, I really started to get an understanding of what they wanted to convey on the paper, and this would be really important for our struggling students, our ELL students. I mean, what was on the paper wasn't so much what was coming out of the mouth, and so then we wanted to connect that in a way. So it's like, oh, I get what you think. One of the kids said camping that wasn't when he wanted to talk about. It was the dead dog. I don't know if you watched it. The dead dog. The dead dog was so important, but his topic was camping. He was trying to fit it into camping. It wasn't about camping. So then we had that conversation, and then he felt comfortable with that, just talking about the experience with the dead dog. So, but I wouldn't have got that just from looking at his graphic organizer. It was that conversation we had. It was just listening, actually. It was just listening.
I would just add to that, the actual videotaping myself doing these conferences is a huge reflective piece for my life. I mean, I feel like I watched them and quite honestly I had to get over what it looked like and I was like, oh, how I sound and why would I say such stupid things? But once you get kind of past all of that, you're thinking, okay, I could tighten this up if I started more like this. Or once I heard something, I could stop what they're doing and move into the decision phase a little faster, which would help me get to more kids and be able to conference. So the videotaping, obviously you wouldn't do that to share like we're sharing, but I was maybe suggested just set the computer up and tape a few of these just for yourself, for reflecting. And after I watched it, I probably won't be saying right as much anymore. It's fun. So lots of good things that you can learn and kind of know about yourself too.
And as Cynthia was saying, we had no idea. I didn't know that I was going to sit down next to a kid that hates writing. So, but as a teacher, you're going to know those things, and you're going to be more familiar with them. That research, like we said, that research phase is going to be shorter, not as long as not so long, and then you can kind of have an idea. But there are things that you have to focus on with the kids, and those can come in mini lessons or got small guided groups and so forth. So we don't want to forget that there are things they have to do. Right?
Yep, and these strategies as well. So just kind of sum all of this up and what do we want to do for our takeaways is that our intention is to keep it short. The longest video on there was like 7 minutes, 37 seconds or something like that. And the research says you want to try to stay between 2 and 7 minutes. And 7 minutes almost felt like too long. I took too long to figure out what to do with them. And you could see that as I was trying to process through that. Also, listening is the most important part of this conference. You are listening to what they are saying and they need from you. And they actually are doing more of the talking than you are when you get really good at it. The students are completely involved in the decision making, and then you just have to be careful of this as well. So that when they're talking about something and you're modeling with my conference here is a model for if I'm coming to you next. Oh, that's kind of what I can expect. I better be prepared. Here's what I heard them talking about. And the more you do that, the easier and more comfortable